Welcome, dear friend. I know you've come here tonight carrying something heavy on your heart. Maybe you feel distant from God, like He's somehow far away or silent. Maybe life feels broken, scattered, like pieces that don't fit together anymore. You're not alone in feeling this way. Tonight, we're going to journey through Ezekiel together, but not the way you might expect. We're going to discover the gentle, restorative heart of God that beats through every page. You'll hear His promises of new beginnings, His tender care for broken hearts, and His desire to bring you home to rest. Take a deep breath with me now. Let your shoulders drop. Feel your body settling into this safe space. As we read together, allow God's word to wash over you like gentle rain on dry ground. Father God, we come to you now, weary and in need of your peace. Speak to our hearts through your word tonight. Remind us that we are precious to you, that you see us, that you long to give us rest. Amen. Maybe, tonight, you're feeling like you're in exile from everything you once knew. Life has shifted, changed, and you feel displaced from the peace you once had. You're not sure where God is in all of this confusion. In the very first chapter of Ezekiel, we find the prophet by the Kebar River, far from home, far from the temple, far from everything familiar, and it's there, in that place of displacement, that he sees something extraordinary. Ezekiel 1-4. I looked, and I saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. Even in exile, even when everything felt lost, God came to Ezekiel. Not in the temple, not in the familiar places, but right there in the foreign land. God's presence wasn't limited to where Ezekiel thought it should be. And tonight, right where you are, feeling displaced and distant, God is here with you too. The vision continues, describing living creatures with faces like a man, lion, ox, and eagle. Each face represents something beautiful about God's character that comes to you even in this difficult season. The face of a man, his understanding of your human struggles. The face of a lion, his fierce protection over you. The face of an ox, his willingness to carry your burdens. The face of an eagle, his ability to lift you above these circumstances. You might feel forgotten tonight, like God has moved on without you. But listen to these tender words from Ezekiel 11:16. Although I sent them far away among the nations and scattered them among the countries, yet for a little while I have been a sanctuary for them in the countries where they have gone. A sanctuary. That's what God promises to be for you, even when you feel scattered. You don't have to find your way back to some perfect place to meet with God. He becomes your sanctuary right where you are. In your bedroom tonight, in your confusion, in your weariness, He is your sanctuary. Maybe you're carrying shame about choices you've made, feeling like you've wandered too far from God's heart. The people of Israel felt this same crushing weight of their failures. But God speaks through Ezekiel with such tenderness about restoration. Ezekiel 11:19. I will give them an undivided heart and put a new spirit in them. I will remove from them their heart of stone and give them a heart of flesh. He doesn't say, fix your heart first, then come to me. He says, I will give you a new heart. This is gift, not demand. You don't have to repair yourself before coming to God. You come broken, and He does the mending. Your heart feels hard right now, doesn't it? Closed off, protective, maybe bitter from pain. He sees that heart of stone and promises to replace it with something soft and alive again. The beautiful thing about Ezekiel is how it shows us that God's love follows us even into the darkest valleys. In chapter 16, God uses the metaphor of finding an abandoned baby, cast aside and unwanted. He says, When I passed by you and saw you kicking about in your blood, I said to you in your blood, live. Yes, I said to you in your blood, live. Even when you feel abandoned, even when life feels messy and desperate, God passes by and speaks life over you. Not when you clean up your act, not when you feel worthy. Right in the middle of the mess, He says, live. Tonight, as you struggle to quiet your mind and rest, hear Him saying that over you. Live. You are not forgotten. You are not too far gone. Live. Perhaps you're dealing with grief, feeling like something precious in your life has died. The valley of dry bones in Ezekiel 37 speaks directly to this pain. The prophet looks out over a valley full of bones, completely dry, representing death, hopelessness, dreams that have died. But then God asks Ezekiel, "Son of man, can these bones live?" And Ezekiel wisely answers, "Sovereign Lord, you alone know." God doesn't ask if you think your situation can be restored. He doesn't ask if you have enough faith to believe for a miracle. He asks if these bones can live, and the answer is always the same. He alone knows. The pressure isn't on you to figure out how to resurrect what feels dead in your life. The power to bring life from death belongs to Him alone. As Ezekiel prophesies to the bones, something beautiful happens. First, there's a rattling sound, not immediate perfection, but the sound of movement, of things beginning to shift. Then tendons appear, then flesh, then skin, but they still aren't alive until God breathes His Spirit into them. Maybe you're in the rattling stage right now. Things are shifting, but you're not yet where you want to be. That's okay. Restoration is a process, and God is patient with every stage. You don't have to be fully restored to be loved. You're loved in the rattling, in the gradual rebuilding, in the waiting for His breath to bring full life again. The heart of God that beats through Ezekiel is one of relentless pursuit. In chapter 34, He speaks as a shepherd searching for scattered sheep. "I will search for the lost and bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured and strengthen the weak." You feel lost tonight, don't you? Like you've strayed from where you're supposed to be. But He is actively searching for you, not angrily, not to scold you, but to bring you back to safety. If you're injured emotionally or spiritually, He wants to bind up those wounds. If you feel weak, struggling to keep going, He promises to strengthen you. This shepherd doesn't wait for the sheep to find their way home. He goes looking. He's looking for you right now, speaking tenderly to your heart through these ancient words, reminding you that you belong to Him, that you are treasured, that He will not rest until you are safely gathered back to His heart. In chapter 36, God makes this promise: "I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your impurities and from all your idols. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you." Clean water, not harsh scrubbing, not painful cleansing, but gentle water sprinkled over you, like a gentle rain that doesn't damage but refreshes. Whatever you feel guilty about, whatever shame you're carrying, whatever feels dirty or wrong in your life, He washes it away with tenderness. And then, the most beautiful promise: "I will put my spirit in you and move you to follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws." He doesn't just clean you up and leave you to try harder. He puts His own Spirit in you to help you live the life He's calling you to. You're not alone in this journey. His Spirit within you is your helper, your guide, your strength. As you let these truths settle into your heart tonight, feel the weight of trying to fix yourself lifting from your shoulders. God isn't waiting for you to get it right. He's here with you now, in your brokenness, speaking life, promising restoration, being your sanctuary in this very moment. Breathe deeply and know that you are held by a God who sees you, pursues you, and will never, ever give up on you. The same God who came to Ezekiel in exile comes to you tonight, right where you are, offering rest for your weary soul. Your mind won't quiet tonight, will it? Thoughts swirling about all the ways you feel you've failed, all the disappointments that have accumulated, all the dreams that seem to have crumbled. You're lying here feeling the weight of regret, of missed opportunities, of relationships that have fallen apart. The people of Ezekiel's time knew this feeling intimately. They had watched their nation crumble, their temple destroyed, their families scattered. Everything they had built their identity on was gone. And in the midst of that devastation, they were drowning in guilt and shame. But listen to what God says to them and to you. In Ezekiel 18:31-32, rid yourselves of all the offenses you have committed, and get a new heart and a new spirit. Why will you die, people of Israel? For I take no pleasure in the death of anyone, declares the sovereign Lord. Repent and live. Do you hear the heart behind those words? This isn't a harsh judge condemning you for your failures. This is a loving Father pleading with you to choose life over the death of guilt and shame. He takes no pleasure in seeing you tormented by your past mistakes. He wants you to live, really live, not just survive under the crushing weight of regret. Maybe tonight you're wrestling with anger. Anger at God for allowing painful circumstances, anger at others who have hurt you, anger at yourself for choices that led to this place. That anger burns in your chest, doesn't it? Makes it hard to breathe, hard to rest. The people in Ezekiel's time were angry too. They felt abandoned by God, forgotten in their suffering. In chapter 18, they accused God of being unfair, saying, "The way of the Lord is not just." They were furious about their circumstances, questioning God's goodness. And God doesn't dismiss their anger. Instead, he patiently explains his heart. "Do I take any pleasure in the death of the wicked?" declares the sovereign Lord. "Rather, am I not pleased when they turn from their ways and live?" Even in their anger, even when they were questioning his justice, God's response was love. He doesn't want anyone to stay trapped in destructive patterns. He doesn't find satisfaction in anyone's pain. His heart is always moving toward restoration, toward healing, toward life. Your anger isn't shocking to God. He's not surprised by your frustration or your questions. He can handle your honest emotions. But he doesn't want you to stay trapped in that anger because he knows it's destroying your peace, your sleep, your ability to experience joy. Perhaps fear is what's keeping you awake tonight. Fear of the future. Fear that things will never get better. Fear that you're too broken to be loved. Fear has a way of magnifying everything, making problems seem insurmountable, making hope feel foolish. In Ezekiel 34:11-1-2, God addresses this fear directly. "For this is what the sovereign Lord says, I myself will search for my sheep and look after them. As a shepherd looks after his scattered flock when he is with them, so will I look after my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered on a day of clouds and darkness." A day of clouds and darkness. That's exactly what fear feels like, isn't it? Everything seems dark, threatening, uncertain. But even in that darkness, especially in that darkness, God promises he will search for you. He will look after you personally, not send someone else, not delegate the task. He himself will care for you. The shepherd doesn't wait for perfect weather to search for his sheep. He goes out on the day of clouds and darkness because that's when they need him most. Your fear doesn't disqualify you from his care. It qualifies you for his tender attention. Maybe you're struggling with feeling worthless tonight. Life has beaten you down, and you've started to believe the lie that you don't matter, that no one would miss you if you weren't here, that you're a burden to everyone around you. But in Ezekiel 16, God tells a different story about your worth. He describes finding an abandoned baby, unloved, uncared for, left to die. And he says, "When I passed by you and saw you kicking about in your blood, I said to you in your blood, live. Yes, I said to you in your blood, live." In the Hebrew, this phrase, live, is chai. It's not just existing, it's flourishing, thriving, experiencing fullness of life. When you were at your most vulnerable, your most unlovely, your most desperate, that's when God spoke life over you. Not because of what you could offer him, but because of who he is. He goes on to say, he made you grow like a plant of the field, that you became beautiful, that he covered you with his love and made a covenant with you. Your worth isn't based on what you've achieved or how others have treated you. Your worth comes from the fact that the creator of the universe looks at you and says, live, flourish, you are mine. If loneliness is your companion tonight, if you feel isolated and disconnected from everyone around you, know that the God of Ezekiel understands this pain. The prophet himself often felt alone, called to deliver difficult messages, set apart from his community. But in chapter 48, God reveals his ultimate plan for restoration, and the final verse contains this beautiful promise. And the name of the city from that time on will be, "The Lord is there." The Lord is there, not the Lord might visit, or the Lord used to be there. The Lord is there, present tense, constant presence. Wherever you are tonight, whatever this place of loneliness feels like, you can name it, "The Lord is there," because he is. Your loneliness doesn't mean you've been abandoned. Sometimes God allows us to feel the ache of human isolation so we can discover the depth of his presence. He is there in your loneliness, closer than your own breath, more constant than your heartbeat. Perhaps guilt is what's stealing your peace tonight. You've done things you're ashamed of, said words you wish you could take back, made choices that hurt people you love. The guilt feels overwhelming, like a stain you can never wash clean. But Ezekiel 36-25:26 speaks directly to this. "I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your impurities and from all your idols. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from them your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh." Clean water, not harsh chemicals that burn, not rough scrubbing that damages. Clean, pure water gently sprinkled over you. God's forgiveness isn't violent or punitive. It's gentle, thorough, and complete. And notice, he doesn't just forgive and leave you with the same broken patterns. He gives you a new heart, a new spirit. The part of you that was hardened by sin and shame gets replaced with something soft and alive. You don't have to keep struggling with the same guilt forever. Forgiveness creates space for genuine transformation. If you're grieving tonight, feeling the crushing weight of loss, know that the God of Ezekiel is intimately acquainted with grief. He grieved over his people's suffering, over the brokenness of the world, over the separation that sin creates. In the valley of dry bones vision, Ezekiel sees death everywhere. Complete, total death. No hint of life. No possibility of resurrection from a human perspective. But then God asks, can these bones live? Your grief might feel like that valley tonight. The death of a relationship, the death of a dream, the death of someone you love. It all feels final, hopeless, irreversibly broken. But God is asking the same question over your situation. Can these bones live? The resurrection that follows isn't instantaneous. First there's rattling, then sinews, then flesh, then skin, and finally breath. Healing from grief is a process too. God doesn't expect you to be over it immediately. He walks with you through each stage, from the first small movements of hope to the full restoration of joy. Whatever struggle is keeping you awake tonight, whatever pain is making it hard to rest, know that it hasn't disqualified you from God's love. In fact, it's precisely why he comes close. The God of Ezekiel specializes in restoration, in speaking life into death, in turning exile into homecoming. You don't have to fix anything before you rest tonight. You don't have to resolve every problem or conquer every fear. You can rest in the middle of your struggle, knowing that the same God who promised restoration to exiled Israel promises restoration to you. Let your breathing slow now. Feel the tension in your body beginning to release. Your struggles are real, but they're not the end of your story. The God who brought Israel home from Babylon is writing a story of restoration for you too. You can rest in that promise tonight. Tonight, as you struggle to quiet your mind and find rest, God wants to speak promises over you, not vague hopes, but specific, certain promises that he has made to you personally. These aren't just nice thoughts to make you feel better. These are covenant promises from the God who keeps his word. You're wondering if you'll ever feel whole again, aren't you? If the broken pieces of your life will ever come together into something beautiful. You can't see how it's possible from where you're lying right now. Listen to this promise from Ezekiel 36:26. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. I will give you, not maybe I'll give you, or if you try hard enough, I might give you. I will give you a new heart. This is God's firm commitment to you. Your heart that feels hardened by pain, closed off by betrayal, calcified by disappointment. He promises to replace it entirely. This means that the numbness you feel right now isn't permanent. The inability to trust, to hope, to love freely, that's not your forever reality. God is promising that he will personally perform heart surgery on you, removing what has become hard and defensive and replacing it with something tender and alive. Picture it, the creator of the universe, with hands gentle enough to number every hair on your head, carefully removing the scar tissue that pain has built around your heart. He doesn't scrape it away harshly. He knows exactly how deep the wounds go, exactly where the hardness formed to protect you from further hurt, and he replaces it with something that can feel again, love again, hope again. Maybe you feel like you've wandered too far from God's plan for your life, like you've made too many wrong turns, missed too many opportunities, and now you're irreversibly lost. The path back to his will seems impossible to find, but here's his promise from Ezekiel 11:17. I will gather you from the nations and bring you back from the countries where you have been scattered, and I will give you back the land of Israel. I will gather you. Not, you need to find your way back to me. Even if you've scattered yourself through poor choices, even if you've run from his voice, even if you've been driven away by circumstances beyond your control, he promises to gather you. This means you don't have to figure out how to get back to God's will for your life. You don't have to retrace every wrong step or solve every mistake. He takes responsibility for bringing you back to where you belong. Your job isn't to navigate back to him. Your job is simply to respond when you hear his voice calling your name. And notice he doesn't just gather you and leave you homeless. He promises to give you back the land, to restore not just relationship with him, but purpose, identity, belonging. The life you thought you'd lost forever, he promises to give back to you. You're lying here tonight feeling spiritually dry, aren't you? Like you've lost your connection with God, like prayer feels hollow and worship feels empty. You wonder if you'll ever feel his presence again, ever experience that sense of being truly known and loved by him. Here's what he promises in Ezekiel 36:27. I will put my spirit in you and move you to follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws. I will put my spirit in you, not around you, not near you, in you. The very Spirit of God taking up residence inside your heart, making his home there. This isn't about trying harder to be spiritual or working to feel God's presence. This is about God himself moving into your inner life permanently. When his Spirit is in you, he moves you to follow his ways. It's not about straining to obey or trying to manufacture good behavior. His Spirit within you creates desire for what he desires, aligns your heart with his heart. The spiritual dryness you feel right now isn't the end of your story. He promises to personally revive your spiritual life from the inside out. This means that tomorrow morning, as you wake up, you can ask him to remind you that his Spirit lives in you. In the mundane moments, the difficult conversations, the overwhelming tasks, his Spirit is there, moving you toward his heart, helping you reflect his character. Perhaps you feel forgotten by God, like he's moved on to other people with more significant problems or greater faith. You wonder if your struggles even matter to him, if he really sees what you're going through. But listen to this tender promise from Ezekiel 34:16. I will search for the lost and bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured and strengthen the weak. I will search for the lost. That's you tonight if you feel forgotten. He's not passively waiting for you to find your way back to him. He's actively searching for you, pursuing you, looking in all the places where pain might have driven you to hide. I will bring back the strays. Even if you've wandered away from his heart, even if you've stopped believing he cares, even if you've given up on faith altogether, he promises to bring you back. Not drag you back, not force you back, but gently, persistently invite you back home. I will bind up the injured. Every wound you're carrying tonight, the emotional injuries, the spiritual bruises, the places where life has cut you deeply, he promises to personally tend to each one. Like a gentle nurse cleaning wounds and applying healing salve, he ministers to the injured places in your soul. I will strengthen the weak. You feel so weak right now, don't you? Weak in faith, weak in hope, weak in your ability to keep going. But weakness isn't something that disqualifies you from his care. It qualifies, gate you for his strengthening. He promises to put his own strength into your weak places. You're worried about your future, aren't you? Wondering if you'll ever experience the life you've dreamed of, if things will ever get better, if you'll always feel this lost and broken. God gives you this promise from Ezekiel 37:12. 1:3. I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them. I will bring you back to the land of Israel. Then you will know that I am the Lord, when I open your graves and bring you up from them. This is resurrection language. Whatever feels dead in your life right now, dead dreams, dead relationships, dead hopes, dead joy, he promises to resurrect. Not just improve, not just repair, but actually bring back to life what seems completely finished. I'm going to open your graves, present tense promise about future action. He's not hoping he might be able to help. He's stating with certainty that he will open whatever tomb you feel trapped in right now. This means the depression that feels like death, the addiction that feels inescapable, the broken relationship that seems irreparable, the dream that seems completely destroyed. None of these are actually graves unless you choose to leave them unsealed. He has the power to roll away the stone and call forth life. And when he does this miracle in your life, you'll know without any doubt that he is Lord, not just of the universe, not just of other people's lives, but Lord of your specific situation, Lord of your particular pain, Lord of your individual story. If you feel contaminated by your past, like you're too dirty or damaged for God to really want you close to him, listen to this promise from Ezekiel 36:25. I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your impurities and from all your idols. I will sprinkle clean water on you, gentle water, not harsh washing that scrapes and burns, like refreshing rain on a hot day, like a cool stream washing away dust and grime. God's cleansing isn't violent or punitive. It's refreshing, renewing, gentle, and you will be clean. Not you might be clean if you try hard enough. You will be clean, completely, thoroughly, eternally clean. Whatever you feel guilty about, whatever shame you carry, whatever feels irreversibly stained about your past, it all gets washed away by this gentle, clean water. This promise means you can stop trying to clean yourself up before coming to God. You don't come to Him clean, you come to Him dirty, and He makes you clean. You don't earn this cleansing through penance or good behavior. It's a gift, freely given, out of His love for you. Finally, if you feel alone and abandoned, if you wonder whether anyone truly cares about your heart, receive this promise from Ezekiel 48:35. And the name of the city from that time on will be, The Lord is there. The Lord is there, not was there, or might be there someday. Is there, right now, in this very moment, in this very place where you feel so alone. He is there. This means your bedroom tonight can be renamed The Lord is there. Your workplace tomorrow can be called The Lord is there. The difficult conversation you're dreading can happen in a place called The Lord is there. Every moment of your future, every place your feet will walk, every situation you'll face, they can all be named The Lord is there, because He will be. You are not alone. You will never be alone. The God who made these promises through Ezekiel is the same God who sits with you now as you struggle to sleep. Every promise He made to Israel, He makes to you personally tonight. Rest now in these certainties. Let your body settle into sleep knowing that tomorrow you'll wake up in a place called The Lord is there, with a heart He's making new, with a spirit He's placed inside you, with a future He's actively restoring. These aren't just beautiful words. These are covenant promises from the God who keeps His word, and He's keeping His word to you tonight. I know it feels impossible to have faith right now. When you're lying here in the darkness, wrestling with pain and uncertainty, believing God's promises feels like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder you try to grasp faith, the more it seems to slip away. But here's what I want you to know. Struggling to believe doesn't mean you're failing God. It means you're human. And the God of Ezekiel understands the difference between doubt and unbelief, between honest questions and rebellious rejection. The prophet Ezekiel himself struggled with faith when God told him about the valley of dry bones, when he was asked to prophesy to scattered, lifeless bones. Do you think part of him wondered if anything would really happen? When God painted pictures of restoration that seemed too good to be true, don't you think Ezekiel sometimes felt the weight of doubt? But God didn't reject Ezekiel for his human limitations. Instead, He invited him into the miracle. Prophesy to these bones, God said, not because Ezekiel's faith was perfect, but because God's power is perfect. You feel like your faith is too small tonight, don't you? Too weak, too inconsistent, too mixed up with questions and fears. You look at the problems in your life, the broken relationships, the financial stress, the health concerns, the depression that won't lift, and you think, I don't have enough faith for God to work in this situation. But listen to what happens in Ezekiel's vision. God doesn't ask the bones to believe in their own resurrection. He asks Ezekiel to speak to them. The bones don't need to generate faith for new life. They just need to hear the word of the Lord spoken over them. Your faith doesn't have to be strong enough to solve your problems. Your faith just needs to be real enough to let God's word speak over your situation. Even mustard seed faith, the tiniest possible faith, can participate in God's miracles. Maybe you're thinking, but I don't even have mustard seed faith. I'm not sure I believe God really cares about me personally. I'm not sure He's really going to come through for me. That's okay. That honesty doesn't disqualify you from God's work in your life. In Ezekiel 36-23, God says, "I will show the holiness of my great name, which has been profaned among the nations, the name you have profaned among them. Then the nations will know that I am the Lord, declares the sovereign Lord, when I am proved holy through you before their eyes." Notice God doesn't say, "When you prove your faith, then I'll show my holiness." He says, "I will show my holiness through you." The initiative is His, the power is His, the responsibility for the miracle is His. God's reputation is tied to your restoration, not the other way around. He will be faithful to you because being faithful is who He is, not because you've earned it through adequate faith. Your weak faith gets to participate in His strong faithfulness. This takes so much pressure off, doesn't it? You don't have to manufacture confidence you don't feel. You don't have to pretend your faith is stronger than it is. You can come to God with whatever small, flickering faith you have and watch Him fan it into flame through His faithfulness to you. Think about the vision of the temple in Ezekiel 40-48. God shows Ezekiel incredible detail about a temple that doesn't exist yet. Measurements, rooms, ceremonies, arrangements. From a human perspective, this would have seemed like wishful thinking. The people were in exile, their temple destroyed, their nation scattered. But God spoke in present tense detail about future restoration. He's doing the same thing in your life. While you can only see the ruins of broken dreams and shattered hopes, God sees the detailed blueprint of your restoration. He speaks about your future with the same certainty He spoke about Israel's return from exile. Your faith doesn't need to see the whole blueprint. Your faith just needs to trust that God has one. Even when the evidence in your life seems to contradict His promises, He's working from plans you can't see yet. Maybe you're struggling to believe because you've been disappointed before. You trusted God for something that didn't happen the way you expected. Maybe you prayed for healing and the person died. Maybe you believed for a relationship to be restored and it ended anyway. Maybe you had faith for a breakthrough that never came. The people of Israel understood this kind of disappointment. They had trusted God for protection and still ended up in exile. They had believed in His promises and still lost everything they held dear. Their faith felt naive, foolish, like believing in fairy tales. But in Ezekiel 37-11, God addresses this directly. The people say, "Our bones are dried up and our hope is gone. We are cut off." This isn't just physical death. This is the death of faith itself. They feel spiritually disconnected, convinced that God's promises were empty. And yet, this is precisely when God chooses to demonstrate His resurrection power. Not when their faith is strong, but when their hope is gone. Not when they believe it's possible, but when they're convinced it's impossible. Your past disappointments haven't disqualified you from future miracles. In fact, they've positioned you to experience the kind of resurrection power that can only be demonstrated when all human hope is exhausted. God specializes in impossible situations precisely because they leave no room for doubt about who gets the credit. You might be thinking, but what if I'm disappointed again? What if I dare to hope and God doesn't come through the way I expect? That's the beauty of faith in the God of Ezekiel. It's not based on your ability to predict His methods, but on His character. Ezekiel learned that God's ways of restoration were far more creative and comprehensive than anything he could have imagined. He expected political deliverance, but God gave spiritual transformation. He expected national restoration, but God gave personal heart change. Your faith doesn't need to figure out how God will work in your situation. Your faith just needs to rest in who He is. The God who specializes in speaking life into death, hope into despair, beauty into ashes. Here's what faith looks like when you're struggling to sleep tonight. It looks like saying, God, I don't understand what you're doing, but I'm going to rest in who you are. It looks like admitting your doubts while choosing to listen for his voice anyway. It looks like being honest about your fears while still speaking his promises over your situation. Faith in the darkness isn't about feeling confident. It's about choosing trust when feelings fail. It's like the Israelites in Babylon who hung their harps by the rivers because they couldn't sing, but they didn't burn them because they hadn't given up entirely. You don't have to. Sing tonight. You don't have to feel victorious or certain or strong. You just have to hang on to your harp. Keep your capacity for worship. Keep your willingness to believe. Keep your heart open to his voice. Remember, in the valley of dry bones, the resurrection happened in stages. First rattling, then sinews, then flesh, then skin, then breath. Your faith might be growing in stages too. You might be in the rattling stage. Things are shifting, but you can't see clear progress yet. That's still progress. That's still God working. You don't need resurrection faith to experience resurrection power. You just need rattling faith, the willingness to let God move in your situation even when you can't see how it will work out. Tonight, as you struggle with doubt, know that God is not offended by your questions. He's not surprised by your fears. He's not disappointed by your weak faith. He sees a heart that's willing to keep listening, even in the dark, and that's enough for him to work with. Let your body relax now. Let your mind rest from trying to figure everything out. Your faith tonight doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. And even mustard seed faith, even struggling faith, even questioning faith, can rest secure in the arms of a God whose faithfulness never wavers. He's not asking you to believe everything will be easy tomorrow. He's just asking you to believe he'll be with you tomorrow. And that's faith enough for now. Your mind has been so busy tonight, hasn't it? Racing through all the things you need to handle tomorrow, replaying conversations from today, worrying about situations you can't control. Even as you've listened to these promises from Ezekiel, part of your brain has been making lists, solving problems, anticipating difficulties. But now it's time to let all of that go. Not forever, not permanently, but just for these hours of rest. You can pick up those concerns tomorrow if you need to, but right now, you can set them down. In Ezekiel 34-15, God speaks as a shepherd and says, I myself will tend my sheep and have them lie down, declares the sovereign Lord. Listen to that phrase, have them lie down, not force them down, not command them down, but gently, tenderly guide them to rest, like a shepherd who knows exactly when his sheep need to stop wandering and simply rest in the safety of his presence. You've been wandering through your thoughts tonight, searching for solutions, grazing on worries. But now your shepherd is inviting you to lie down, right here, right now, in the safety of his watchful care. Feel your body responding to that invitation. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Allow the muscles in your face to soften. Release the tension you've been holding in your jaw. Breathe slowly with me. In through your nose. Hold for just a moment and let it go. Again, drawing in peace, releasing the stress of the day. As you breathe, remember what God says in Ezekiel 36:26. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. With each breath, you're not just taking in air, you're receiving his new spirit, his peace, his rest. Your heart that has been anxious tonight. With each gentle breath, feel it being made new. Feel the hardness of worry being replaced with the softness of trust. In and out, in and out. Let each breath carry you deeper into his rest. Maybe your mind is still trying to pull you back to your concerns. That's natural. Don't fight it harshly. Just gently notice when your thoughts wander and softly guide them back to this moment, back to your breathing, back to his presence with you. Like a shepherd gently redirecting a wandering sheep, you can kindly redirect wandering thoughts. No harsh judgment, no frustration with yourself, just gentle guidance back to peace. In Ezekiel 34-14, God promises, "I will tend them in a good pasture, and the mountain heights of Israel will be their grazing land. There they will lie down in good grazing land, and there they will feed in a rich pasture on the mountains of Israel." Picture yourself in that good pasture tonight, not the barren, rocky places where your mind has been grazing on worry, but in rich, green pasture where peace grows abundantly. Feel the soft grass beneath you, the gentle breeze, the warm sunshine of God's love. This is where He's brought you to rest, away from the harsh places, away from the dry ground of anxiety. Here in this place of peace, you can finally stop searching for something to fill the empty places in your heart. Here, you can stop trying to solve everything. Here, you can simply rest in His care. Let your breathing slow even more. Each exhale, releasing a little more tension. Each inhale, drawing in a little more peace. In Ezekiel 37-14, God says, "I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and I will settle you in your own land." His spirit in you, settling you, not leaving you restless and wandering, but giving you a place of belonging, a place of rest. You belong here, in this moment of peace. You don't have to earn the right to rest. You don't have to solve anything to deserve sleep. You belong here, in the quiet safety of His presence. Feel yourself settling, like a bird finally finding the right branch after a long day of flight, like a weary traveler arriving home after a difficult journey. This is home, this place of rest in Him, not a place you visit sometimes, but your true dwelling place, the place where your spirit can finally exhale, in and out. Slower now. Let each breath be a prayer of trust. You are here with me. I can rest. Your body is growing heavier now. Feel the weight of your limbs sinking into comfort. Feel the tension leaving your muscles one by one, starting with your toes, up through your legs, releasing through your abdomen, your chest, your arms, your neck, your face. So heavy, so relaxed, so safe. In Ezekiel 48-35, the final verse of the book, we read, "And the name of the city from that time on will be, The Lord is there." The Lord is there. Wherever you are tonight, wherever your mind tries to wander, wherever tomorrow takes you, the Lord is there. You can rest in this truth. You don't have to stay awake to make sure He's watching. He's there when you sleep. He's there when you wake. He's there in every moment between. Feel your eyelids growing heavier. That's not something to fight. That's your body accepting the gift of rest, receiving the peace He's offering. Your breathing is so slow now, so gentle, like quiet waves lapping at a peaceful shore, each breath carrying you deeper into rest, deeper into His presence. The Lord is there, in your sleep, in your dreams, in the quiet hours of the night. You can let go completely because He never lets go of you. In and out, slower, quieter, like a whisper of peace. All the promises from Ezekiel are true for you tonight. the new heart, the new spirit, the restoration, the gathering, the cleansing, the shepherding care. But right now, you don't need to think about them. You can simply rest in them, like a child falling asleep in loving arms, completely safe, completely held, so tired now, so peaceful. The busy thoughts fading away, replaced by the gentle rhythm of his love for you. Breathe and rest. Breathe and let go. The Lord is there, with you, in this sleep, in this peace. You are so loved, so watched over, so safe to rest. Sleep now. Sleep in his peace. Sleep knowing you are held. Rest, dear one, rest. The Lord is there,